Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor for me to participate in the opening ceremony of the One Belt, One Road International Forum. Mr. Xi informed me about his plans to hold this representative event back in September last year at the Russian-Chinese summit in Hangzhou, and we certainly lend our support to this enterprise from the very beginning. This idea had been brought up even before that. Certainly, this gives us an opportunity to talk in a broad format about the future of the vast Eurasian continent. Our continent is the birthplace of great civilizations. Peoples with different cultures and traditions have lived side by side for centuries. They've been trading. Whereas the legendary Silk Road, which linked almost all of Eurasia, as is well known, went from one oasis to another oasis, from one world to another. And in the great Chinese I Ching, the book of change with its colorful, bright imagery, the well symbolizes a spring of life force underlying human communication. It gives birth to trust, fosters ties and connections, as well as friendship. This historical experience of cooperation as well as human understanding is of import to us in the 21st century, when the world is faced with very serious challenges and problems. Many models and factors of economic growth of old have been all but exhausted. Many countries are witnessing a crisis of the social welfare state concept, which emerged in the 20th century. As of now, it is barely capable of maintaining at the same level the welfare, let alone ensuring a sustainable growth of welfare. It is apparent that the global economic and technological space risks being fragmented, protectionism is becoming the new normal, whereas its latent manifestations take the form of illegal sanctions, including restrictions on the spread and supply of technologies. The ideas of openness and free trade are increasingly often being rejected, very often by those who but recently served as the exponents of these ideas. The imbalances in the social and economic development, the crisis of the old model of globalization, all of this results in negative consequences for relations among states as well as for international security, poverty, social chaos, a colossal gap and the developmental level of countries and regions. All this creates a breeding ground for international terrorism, extremism, as well as irregular migration. We shall not be able to live up to these challenges should we fail to overcome a stagnation of the global economic development, nor should we forget about the threats that emanate from regional conflicts, from the confrontation zones that persist in many places throughout Eurasia. In order to untie these knots, as it were, first and foremost, it is necessary to abandon the belligerent rhetoric, mutual recriminations and reproaches, which serve only to aggravate the situation. On the whole, it is hardly possible to resolve any of the issues of today following the old logic. What we need is ideas that are fresh and free of stereotypes. I am confident that Eurasia is able to elaborate, come up with a substantive positive agenda. I refer in particular to ensuring security, building ties between countries, organizing the economy, the social sphere, the governance system. I refer to finding new engines of growth. We should demonstrate to the world community an example of using an innovative approach to building future based on equality, equal rights, justice, respect for national sovereignty, international right as well as the inviolable principles of the United Nations. And yet, to implement such an agenda, wish and will alone are not sufficient. What we need is actual instruments of such cooperation, and it is as a form of integration that we can build these instruments. Eurasia is witnessing the active development of many integration associations. We support them and we are interested in the successful advancement of these projects. Many are aware that Russia, together with its partners, is building the Eurasian Economic Union. We in the Eurasian Economic Union have similar approaches to building the Eurasian integration, and it is very important for us that the leaders of Belarus, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan take part in this forum. We salute China's large-scale initiative of One Belt, One Road, and putting this initiative forward. President Xi has demonstrated an example of an innovative approach to developing integration in energy, infrastructure, transport, industry, as well as the humanitarian field, which we have heard in detail right now. I believe that adding up the potential such integration formats as the Eurasian Economic Union, One Belt, One Road, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, ASEAN, can lay the groundwork for building a greater Eurasian partnership. It is exactly this approach that we believe we can view the agenda put forward by the Chinese People's Republic of China today. We would also salute the participation of our European colleagues in such a partnership, the European Union. In this case, it would turn into a harmonic, balanced and comprehensive partnership, will help us seize the unique opportunity of building a single space of cooperation from the Atlantic to the Pacific for the first time in history. Colleagues, even now, it is important to add concrete actions to the strategy for developing the greater Eurasian partnership. We can, for instance, set forth the ambitious goals of making the movement of goods in the Eurasian space very fast. Right now, President Xi has been telling us about slashing the bureaucracy in the movement of goods between Kazakhstan and China. We see the same thing happening in different dimensions. Certainly, if administrative costs are brought down, if logistics technologies are cutting edge, it is going to facilitate our work. We can also use the experience of the WTO, which is very precious and valuable. Let me remind you that in February 2017, the WTO trade facilitation agreement entered into force. We should certainly build upon the provisions of this agreement and even draft an even more advanced Eurasian agreement on trade facilitation. Let me highlight that Russia is not just willing to trade, we're willing to invest into building in our partners joint ventures as well as new enterprises. We're willing to invest into industrial assembly, into retail and maintenance services. It is important that our entrepreneurs should earn together, should succeed together, should set up competitive technological and industrial alliances together. But in order for this cooperation to be efficient, we should move towards unifying and, in future, towards building up uniform standards as well as technical regulations, both for traditional, industrial and agricultural goods and new high-technology produce. We should also remove infrastructural obstacles and the way of integration. We should build up the systems of modern transportation corridors that are linked together. Given Russia's unique geographical position, we're willing to engage in such kinds of work. We are consistently modernizing our sea, railway and automobile infrastructure. We increase the output capacity of the Baikal, Amur and the Trans-Siberian railroads, as well as invest considerable resources into the Northern Sea Route in order to turn it into a globally competitive transportation corridor. If we have a look at the broader picture, the infrastructural projects announced as part of the Eurasian Economic Union, as well as the One Belt, One Road initiatives, together with the Northern Sea Route, are able to set up a new transportation configuration of the Eurasian continent. And this is key to explore new territories, to resuscitate economic and investment activities. Let us build these roads of prosperity and development together in order to implement the large-scale projects in infrastructure, in energy and transport and cutting-edge high technology. We shall certainly require enormous private investment. That is why it is important to put in place predictable, convenient, comfortable and well understood conditions for investors to foster an exchange of best practices. For instance, we have been using the experience of the Asia-Pacific countries and setting up preferential conditions for investors and the advanced development territories in the Russian Far East. And the private investor is also going to benefit from the newly established institutions such as the New Development Bank of BRICS and the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. Certainly, high-quality integration is only possible if we have such a groundwork as a good human capital, well-qualified personnel, technological and scientific basis. In order to have this groundwork, we suggest we should work together in educational platforms and strengthening the cooperation of universities and business schools. I would like to invite our partners to get back to work together in fundamental science. I refer in particular to the possibility of building large-scale international research facilities and laboratories for joint use. Colleagues, it is evident that the ideas and the initiatives of this forum's participants shall require further discussion. And we certainly are willing to participate in this kind of discussions. Let me invite the participants, the representatives of the business circles, the civil society, politicians, to visit Russia in June this year as part of the St. Petersburg Economic Forum, and to visit Russia in September as well to assist the Eastern Economic Forum in Vladivostok. In conclusion, let me highlight Russia believes that the future of Eurasian partnership is not just about fostering new ties between countries and economies. It should change the very political and economic landscape of the continent, bringing Eurasia peace, stability, prosperity, as well as a brand new quality of life. Our citizens require well-understood things such as security, being able to be confident of the day to come, the possibility to work and to increase their welfare, the welfare of their families. And we owe it to them to secure these opportunities for them. And in these terms, Greater Eurasia is not just an abstract geopolitical scheme. Without exaggeration, it is indeed a civilizational project which is bringing about future, and I'm confident that following the logic of cooperation we shall implement it. I believe there are grounds to thank President Xi for this initiative, which is very timely and which is very promising. Thank you for attention.